Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, there's no chemistry and no spark between us. Well, when you're on a date and you're making out with a girl and you're thinking, hey, this is awesome, and then she proceeds to tell you how there's no chemistry and no spark, that's pretty much a downer. I've got an email with a guy who had that situation happen just recently, and he's kind of scratching his head wondering why. So I got two emails I'm going to go through with you today, but before we get into it, I got a quote that I wrote that I want to share with you. And what you're going to see in this first email is just subtle signs of the approval-seeking type of mentality. And that's part of what I believe has contributed to things going sideways with this girl this guy was on a date with. And the quote says, approval-seeking behavior in romantic relationships is the hallmark of people who do not feel worthy of their lover's attention. They feel they need to make up for something they mistakenly believe that they lack on the inside. This can manifest itself as changing one's opinion to match someone else's, going along with things you don't really want to do in hopes that they like you, thinking you have to do something external or give some kind of fantastic gift or ultimate date to make them love you, allowing others to walk all over you for fear that they will leave you if you stand up for yourself, etc. Chemistry and a romantic spark happens as a natural byproduct of two people who are at the same place emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and who are authentic, honest, and respectful of themselves. They don't hold back and perceive themselves and each other as a gift. They simply do not allow or tolerate others in their lives or social circle who don't lift them up or who insist on keeping them small. So let's go ahead and jump into the first guy's email. It says, hey, Coach Wayne, I'll start off by giving you a bit of background of where I am at with women. I actually have finally become very good with women. The last few months, I was able to hook up with almost 14 women, and 6 of them asked me to be their boyfriend. That's pretty good, dude. Good job. You're definitely doing enough things right. But the hardest thing, it's, no matter how much success you have, is when you go out with somebody you really like, who you're really into. And that's where you'll find where we separate the men from the boys, if you will. Because when you really dig somebody and you really like them, you can't help but want them to like you. You can't help to want to be a little nicer and a little funnier, a little more charming, a little friendlier, a little more compliant, because you don't want to fuck things up, because you know that somebody like that doesn't just come along every day that makes you feel like that inside. There's just some people that they've got the key to your lock, if you will. He says, I liked them, but never really felt any love for any of them. There wasn't that certain spark that made me want to date them. And that's what happens when you're starting out. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and by dating other people and getting experience and being able to move people along, hang out, have fun, hook up, get those experiences you want. Because a lot of guys are young, or especially guys who have been married for the same person their whole lives or several decades, they want to go out and play the field a little while. And it's kind of nice to be able to do that, but at the end of the day, when you do those things, nothing takes the place of having really great chemistry and really great sexual attraction to somebody you really like hanging out with. He says, my skill and game with women is very smooth, and I often get women very attracted to me now and always know the right thing to say. I almost feel like a god with women. It is so amazing. Good for you, dude. It's your birthright to be this way. That's why it feels so natural. When you know what to do, when you've practiced it, you've rehearsed it enough times, the seduction, it just kind of happens. He says, all of my success with women has made me sort of not be so interested in one single woman. So where I'm at now is I recently broke up with my beautiful girlfriend because she wasn't treating me the way I expect to be treated. So I started talking to this girl online that I found to be very beautiful and someone I'm interested in. She has had many boyfriends in the past, but she also was romantically interested in me. Today we met for the first time, and I did my normal thing, and she seemed very interested in me. She said that she's romantically interested in me, was touching me, and said that I am handsome. What happened next was she just grabbed me and kissed me out of the blue. It's nice when that happens. He says, I was not expecting this and also was chewing gum that she had given me. Did you pass it to her with your tongue? He says, and we had a pretty decent makeout. Then right after that, she said that there was no spark. And that she acted very disappointed all of a sudden. And jokingly I said, was my kissing a problem? I wouldn't have said that. She said, no, it was a good kiss, but there is no spark. Then after that, her whole feelings changed with me. She said that this is the first time anything like this has happened, because she thinks I'm a great guy and attractive, so she couldn't understand why she felt no spark in the kiss. We kissed many times more throughout the night, and we were holding hands and hugging. She seemed really disappointed there wasn't a spark and wished there was. Something happened in that kiss, dude. Either that or it was something you said right before or right after. Something changed. Or maybe it was the way you kissed her. He says, I convinced her. See, now this is where I kind of get a hint that maybe this is what's really going on. Because this is what I do when I'm having a phone session with somebody, is or reading an email. The self-talk comes out. The belief system comes out. And what you're going to see in the next part of the email as I go through it, this is definitely approval-seeking type of behavior. I convinced her to give me a second date and that there might be a spark next time. Well, that tells me that you were trying to plead with her. And maybe because you really like this girl, you were treating her a little differently than all those other girls that you went out with that you really didn't care that much about. Maybe when she grabbed you and kissed you for the first time, you didn't kiss her back because you were so shocked that this happened. Maybe it was the first time you've ever had a woman grab you and just start making out with you. I know the first time it happened to me, it was pretty shocking, but it was pretty nice as well. But if you weren't prepared for it and you kind of have the attitude of like, wow, this never happens to me, that tells me that she had a perspective of you, and then when she made out with you and grabbed you, that the passion just wasn't there. You weren't reciprocating. Maybe because you were so surprised and so stunned that, oh my God, I can't believe this woman just grabbed me and kissed me. But hey, this is the first time this has happened to you, but that's okay. He says, and because she liked me, she wanted to give me another date. However, she said that if there wasn't any spark that time, then she wants to give up on me. We plan to go to the movies next time. A movie date? Did you read my book? Come on, man. How are you going to get to know somebody and develop that spark and that chemistry when you're sitting in a movie theater staring at a screen for a couple of hours? That's a terrible date. You can go to the movies with your girlfriend or your wife, but not a girl you're going on a second date with. Go do something fun. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. He says, what I want to know is what is everything I can do to create a spark and powerful chemistry? Well, the spark and the chemistry are already there, but what you have to do is avoid killing it. And from the kiss and from what you've shared, there is definitely a hint of approval-seeking behavior. And plus the fact that you're already agreeing to go to a movie and you're convincing her to go out on a second date with you, that's the wrong mindset, dude. That is not the right frame of mind. That is not James Bond mindset. That is not a guy who presupposes that things are going to go well. He says, how do I build up the girl to feel that spark with me? Well, definitely not by going to the movies. You should do something fun. Go bowling. Go to an amusement park. Drive some bumper cars. Do some, ride a roller coaster together. Go do some fun shit. Throw some darts. Shoot some pool. Go to an art gallery opening. Something that you guys have a mutual interest in. Something that you both really enjoy and have a passion for. Let her do most of the talking. It helps you remain mysterious. Be playful. Be fun with her. He says, and plus you said you've had all this success with all these 14 other women, but yet you're asking me really basic questions here. This tells me that you don't know the book that well, or maybe you were just embellishing a little bit on your experience to make yourself look better, because a lot of guys do that, and I can understand that, but it's just not necessary. You might be able to bullshit yourself, but you can't bullshit the coach. He says, what should I do in the meantime while waiting for our next date to build attraction or chemistry? Come on, man, that's a basic question. You don't need to do nothing. You already have a date set up. her wondering about you or wondering what's going to happen on the next date and not blowing up her phone, that's going to have a positive effect. Did you set a definite date where you have a definite day, a definite time to get together? Plus, you're violating principles here. You're making a second date while you're still on your first date. These are a lot of landmines I see you stepping in. So you have this guy that you presented to me in the beginning of the email. You told me all the success that you're having, but yet these are all like rookie basic mistakes that you're making here. He says, how can I blow her out of the water when the time comes? Also, can you please explain why she felt that way? Something you did, something you said. Again, this is why you read the book, so you can cut out all that bad behavior. But like I said, the guy that you presented to us in this email was a guy that's got all this success with women, and they're all falling over themselves to fall in love with you, and yet you go out with this one girl who you really like, and you're making like one rookie mistake after another, violating all these principles. So that tells me that you probably don't know the fundamentals very well. And therefore, it could have been something you said or something you did. Just the fact you say, was there something wrong with my kiss? Do you think James Bond would say that? Absolutely not. If a woman says, I don't feel any chemistry and spark, say, well, bring those lips back over here and let's kiss a little bit more. Let's see that spark develop. That's what you would have said. He says, I'm so confused as to why this happened because my game was sharp, and she admitted that too. But at the end of the day, she said she ain't feeling a spark. And if you are in an approval-seeking type of mindset where you're pleading with, well, give me another chance on another date, then there was obviously things that you were saying and doing while on that date that didn't make yourself look like you were the guy that you were presenting yourself to be. He says, what can I do to have the best chance of making her have that spark in chemistry with me? Our next date will be in early June. Well, the best thing you can do to help yourself is read the book several times, because when you read the book, you'll be able to self-diagnose. You'll be able to figure out exactly what you were doing right and wrong in that date. I mean, there's several things that I pointed out in here as I went through your email that these are basic rookie mistakes, and it's really hard to have success with all those 14 other women. But if you really weren't that into these 14 other women, it's a lot easier to do most things right. But when you go out with a girl that you really like, you revert back to those old ways. But like I said, from your email here, you don't look like a guy that knows the book very well, and you don't know the fundamentals very well. And if you read the book cover to cover, I promise you there'll be things that'll jump out at you and go, oh, okay, now that makes a little bit more sense. But like I said, making a second date, pleading with her, convincing her, as you put it, to go out on a second date while you're still on your first date, there's something that you didn't share here. But that's what I would do if I were you. Hang out, have fun, hook up, do something fun. Don't be going to the fucking movies. Come on, man. You should know better than that if you've had all this other success with other women like you claim. So let's move on to the second guy's email. He says, I met this woman on an online dating site, and we were having a long-distance relationship. In the beginning, she and I would talk for hours on the phone, and about a month later, I drove to her place, and we hit it off. We had sex the second night, and everything started off awesome. We talked for a whole month on the phone. That's a long time. Countless hours on the phone. It shouldn't be necessary. If you talk on the phone for an hour or two, somebody's got to, unless you're like on another continent, and then my question would be, well, why are you dating somebody that lives in another country that's like 15 hours away? I mean, the bottom line is somebody's got to travel. That's the only way a long-distance relationship is going to work out. And if they're not open to come see you, then just meet somebody that lives in your city. Because trust me, I've had a long-distance relationship with a woman that lived in another country, and it's great for a couple of years, but after a year or two of dating, it gets kind of old. All the shit with the customs and coming back and forth and missing, not seeing each other for a month or two at a time and only being able to talk on Skype. It's not a lot of fun. It's like your heart gets ripped out every time they leave. He says, so after 4 months, she expresses to her father that we intended to work toward marriage, and everything went really fast. So I found a job close to her and had accepted it. Are you moving because that's the job you really want, or are you moving because you are bending yourself into a pretzel to become the woman that you thought she wanted, or the man that you thought she wanted to be? In other words, I see you changing your life around for her. He says, well, that same night when we were intimate, she was giving me a blowjob, and when I climaxed, I held her head down and came in her mouth. Women don't like it when you fucking grab their head and just fucking jam it down like that, dude. Don't fucking do that shit. Don't fucking, if they want to, give themselves a tonsillectomy, let them do that. Don't, I know you're right in the heat of passion, but you don't grab her fucking head and jam it in her mouth like that. That's just not cool, dude. He says, well, she got really pissed about it, and she said her feelings for me changed that night, and I ended up not taking the job. You know why? Because you didn't make her feel safe and comfortable when you did that. You forced yourself upon her, dude. He says, well, we worked through that, and we were going along nicely, and she put me in friend zone in February out of nowhere. I was devastated. We continued to text, but mostly it was me. He says, well, I went to check out a job that was fairly close to where she lived, and after I was done, I showed up on her doorstep, and we had a wonderful weekend, so things seemed to be moving back towards a relationship. She even invited me down again 3 weeks later. We had sex, and it was awesome. Well, you notice at this point, everything, the power is completely flipped. Now you're kind of showing up like a stalker, kind of from the movie, like John Cusack's character, Say Anything. It's cute in the movies, and she went along with it, but at the end of the day, the power's flipped. And now you're doing all the pursuing, you're doing all the chasing, you're showing up, you're the one thinking about giving up your career and moving. You're the one that's the submissive one. You, in essence, are acting like the woman in the relationship. He says after that, she still insisted that we're not dating. So I went home, and a couple of days later, I called after some alcohol and told her a bunch of stuff that I had been repressing. You drunk dialer. More pursuing, over chasing. It's a bad way to go. He says, well, she's cut off all communication and sent a text saying that she would contact me when she was ready to talk. You have to respect that, dude. When she says, hey, I need time, what does this tell me? You over pursued her and acted creepy and weird. It's just more of the same kind of behavior when you grabbed her head and jammed your cock in her mouth, dude. You're forcing yourself upon her. You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And so during sex, she didn't feel free to come and go. No pun intended. And during dating, you're acting like a stalker now. This is creepy, weird shit. He says, I've been a needy bitch and was blowing up her phone until today after I saw your videos. I've now stopped all communication. Well, I think at this point the damage is pretty much done, dude. He says, this woman is very perceptive, though if I do an immediate change, she will sense my behavior is completely different from last year and will suspect I'm being manipulative. Well, when you're pursuing her and acting like a stalker and in your own words acting like a needy bitch, she's not going to be contacting you or reaching out to you. What did she tell you? She sent you a text saying that she would contact you when she was ready to talk. Did you listen? Did you respect her wishes? Absolutely not. You continue to try to force yourself into her life, just like you forced yourself upon her sexually that night. It's more of the same behavior. This makes a woman feel scared. The guys that act like you are the guys that become the abusive boyfriends or the stalkers. And just the fact that you don't listen to her. She tells you something, she gives you feedback, and you just completely ignore it and force yourself upon her. It's a bad way to go, dude. This is the type of behavior that scares the shit out of women and makes them avoid you. He says, Corey, I love this woman with all my heart, but how do I handle this to get her back for good? Well, it would help if you actually listened and did what she said, which is let me contact you. But you didn't do that. You continue to stalk and pursue, and now she's basically ignoring you at this point. He says, through the entire relationship, I have been a needy, insecure bitch. She still loves me, I know. Really? I think you're a little delusional about that, dude. But how do I get her to commit back to a relationship? He says, for God's sake, we were on the cusp of getting engaged until the sex thing happened. Well, you said so yourself that you've acted like a needy bitch from the start. And it eventually got to the point where she just backed away. And the more she backed away, the more you pursued. I mean, you basically did everything you're not supposed to do in that situation and drove her away even more. And when you drive her away like that, all that's going to continue to happen is she's going to lose more and more respect for you and attraction. He says, now she won't even officially date me. Well, you're all focused on a relationship and locking her down to a commitment. Instead of just hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, what you should be doing is reading my book cover to cover and learning the fundamentals, because you'll get it. You'll understand where you've been going wrong. He says, she has strong feelings for me. She used to have strong feelings for you. But when you acted like a needy, insecure, stalkerish control freak, you totally turned her off, dude. And so those feelings are feelings that she had in the past. See, you're making the assumption that she still feels the same way today that she once did because you still feel the same way. And you're just presupposing that she feels the same way. But look at her actions. She pushed you away. She friend-zoned you. She said, leave me alone. I'll contact you when I'm ready to talk. And you didn't listen. You just continued acting like the neurotic chimpanzee who's masturbating in his cage at the zoo and throwing his jizz and his feces all over the people that are at the zoo. It doesn't work, man. But she's put up walls for anything more serious. We're still friends, I guess. How do I proceed? What you should do is absolutely nothing. Stop calling her. Stop contacting her. Walk and never look back. Assume it's over. Assume you're part of her past and you're not part of her present and you're not part of her future. And start dating new women and apply the things that I teach in my book. She may contact you, but I would say if I was to flip a coin and I was a betting man, I'd say the odds of you hearing from this woman ever again are not good. She probably will never contact you again, and that's the reality because you've driven her away by this consistent, obsessive, stalkerish type behavior. That's the reality of it, dude. However, if she ever reaches out to you again, you should assume she wants to see you, and what you got to do is don't bring up relationships, don't bring up dating, don't bring up getting back together, don't bring up being engaged or any of that bullshit. You got to realize that if she does contact you again, you're literally starting over from square one. You're starting over from a first date. Because it took time for her to get to that point where she was feeling all those feelings, and it took time for her to get totally turned off by your behavior. And so therefore, if she does, by some crazy chance, reach out to you in the future, make a date. Hang out, have fun, hook up. And she reaches out, just be like, hey, babe, it's really great to hear from you. I'd love to see you when you're free to get together. Make a date. Invite her to come to your place. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. And if she's not willing to do that, then just say, great. Well, if you ever want to come and visit me, I'd love to see you. I'd love to spend some time together. Give me a call. I got to run. And then you leave the conversation. If a couple days later or a week or so later she calls and contacts you, same thing. You're only going to ask twice now. So what you'll say to her is, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you when you're free to get together next. If she gives you the same, I don't know, well, maybe, then say, great. Well, when you figure out your schedule, give me a call. I got to run. Keep in touch. Because at the end of the day, unless she's willing to get together and hang out with you in person and have some fun, there's no point. And that's why I say it's best to invite her to come visit you, because it sounds like you've always driven to go see her. If she's not willing to come to see you, then I wouldn't be interested. And you got to be willing to walk away. And if you've asked twice and she's turned you down both times, anytime after that she calls you or gets in touch, chat for a few minutes and just say, hey, it's great hearing from you. I got to run, keep in touch. Don't ever bring up getting together after you've asked twice and she's shot you down. And then one of two things will happen. She'll either bring up, hey, we should get together sometime. And you go, great, when are you free? And then you make plans, but have her come to your place. Hang out and have fun and hook up, just like I talk about in my book. You got to read the book. You got to learn the fundamentals, because the approach that you're taking to dating, every girl will reject you for the same exact reasons if you continue on with this kind of behavior. Because the way that you're going about it, it's a recipe for rejection and failure. And I want you to be successful. And like I said, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. And obviously, if you were really happy with the level of success that you were getting, you wouldn't have contacted me in the first place. But like I said, I would put a fork in this one and assume that she's done and you're out of there and move on with your life and resolve to never act that way with any woman again, and apply the things that I talk about in my book. Get out there and meet somebody new, and in that way, you can do everything right from the get-go. So next time around, when things go really well, a woman, when she starts bringing up getting married or getting engaged, it'll actually get to that point if that's what you want. But I highly recommend dating for 2 to 3 years before you go get married, get engaged, because you got to wait for the infatuation to wear off. and get to see what that person is like day in and day out. Because, man, I'll tell you, getting a divorce and dealing with an attorney and her attorney and all that, especially get kids in the mix, it's like, it ain't a lot of fun. Ask any of your friends that have been through a divorce. It ain't fun. Most people put more thought into buying a car than they do getting married, and then they wonder why only a year or two later they're going through a nasty divorce. Take your time, dude. Life, for most people, lasts a really long time, and you got to choose very carefully the person you're going to spend your life with, because 95% of your happiness or your misery is going to come from that one decision. That's definitely something to think about. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.